Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley.
I'm Mica.
We've seen Destiny 2 players, and Mica in particular,
Yes.
frothing mad for a while now about basically something new every week, it seems. And now that player unrest could actually be starting to hit where it hurts the most, Wall Street.
Yes, a Wall Street firm has sent a letter to its clients warning them about potential Activision investments, believing that the game's poor standing amongst its players could come back to hurt Activision's share prices this year. Because in their minds, the game might not be possible to save at this point, which is why I've had an eye twitch for the past 2 weeks.
That's not a Twitch.
That's a Twitch.
Cosplay. That caps off a rather rough few weeks for Destiny 2 and Bungie. The game's also lost several of its most popular streamers who no longer want to associate their channels with Destiny 2 content.
Yeah, ouch and double ouch. So let's talk about this Wall Street business. CNBC reports that Wall Street firm Kdin sent a letter to its clients about the state of Destiny 2 and what it could mean for any Activision shares they own. The letter was rather bluntly titled, "Destiny is not in a good place."
The letter was in response to the firm downgrading their valuation of Activision shares earlier in the week, so they wanted to let clients know the reasoning behind that decision. Namely, Destiny 2 and the current climate of its very, very angry fan base, resulting in players leaving the game behind for greener, more loot-filled pastures.
The firm wrote in the letter, while Call of Duty World War II clearly had a great holiday, which likely sets up strong franchise live service revenue in 2018, Destiny 2 is struggling right now with player engagement appearing to be on the wane.
According to Kdin, the loss of players will definitely affect publisher Activision's bottom line because there won't be nearly as much money pumped into the game as previously anticipated. The letter went on to say, "We're a bit cautious that potentially disappointing live service revenue there could at least partially offset upside from Call of Duty in 2018.
The analyst who penned the letter, Doug Kreutz, gave some more concrete reasons about why he thinks the game is on the downward slide.
And they're kind of brutal.
Yeah, none of it should really be a surprise if you've been following the game's repeated missteps since its launch.
Alright, for one, he cites that there were design decisions that make Destiny 2 less engaging and distinctive for players than its predecessor, which again, no surprise. Second, he also mentioned the microtransaction implementation and that it's been a constant source of ire for the game's community. Again, no shockers there.
Third, he outlines that Bungie hasn't been very urgent in responding to player feedback or implementing the most requested changes. And finally, he writes that the company also hasn't been very clear about communicating the game's roadmap, and in comparison with other live service games, they've been a lot more closed off.
If all these critiques weren't bad enough, the analyst firm went on to add that, well, they don't think Destiny 2 has much a shot of turning things around. Well, there's always a chance that Bungie rights the ship and players come back and enjoy it. I mean, after all, like Taken King did wonders for the original Destiny.
Yeah.
Kdin notes that there is a much higher degree of competition out there than Destiny 1 had during this same point in its life cycle. More games that people can just go play instead if they're not having enough fun with Destiny 2.
There wasn't quite the Overwatch that there is now. The firm wrote about Destiny 2's chances of survival. "We do think Bungie still has some opportunity to fix the game's problems over the next year and recapture engagement, but we're not sure if they have the ability to pull it off at this point. We also note that Destiny currently has more serious competition in its genre from a refurbished division and the indie title Warframe than it did 3 years ago when Destiny 1 had its own share of player dissatisfaction."
I mean, honestly, anytime anyone expresses any sort of dissatisfaction with Destiny, you get a lot of people saying, just play Warframe. It's free to play, the microtransactions are pretty friendly, like it's not pay to win. Why wouldn't you just switch to this? So there's actually an active community campaigning Destiny 2 players to switch to Warframe.
Same with the Division. My raid group and a lot of people in this office have all switched to the Division.
Yeah, we don't need to chronicle the entire saga of Destiny 2 all over again. We've done a ton of standalone videos about that, but the very, very short version is the game's upset players all over the place. Whether it's not communicating what's going on with their big seasonal events, to throttling XP and then kind of covering it up when they tried to do it again, putting some of the game's most desirable content behind paywalls. There's been a new controversy for the community on a way more regular basis than the game's actual updates.
There's been loads of speculation about the types of effects this has on the actual player base without many numbers to actually point to, so it's interesting here that Wall Street firms are picking up on some of these signs and saying that investors might want to pull back a little bit from Activision.
Right, like, clear out, clear out. We've seen other signs in recent weeks too that the game's player base just isn't what it used to be, that kind of supports this analyst claims that, well, it's fallen off because some of the biggest streamers have abandoned ship as well. In the last week, two of its biggest influencers, Datto and Gothalion, both said they'll no longer be focusing on Destiny 2 anymore.
That really sucks. They were really good streamers.
But they're moving on to greater passion. Maybe they'll be on Warframe or Activision.
Others have also noted that Destiny 2's audience on Twitch seems to be dwindling too. In fact, even Cowan noted that Twitch viewership is at a franchise low, levels of around 4,000 to 7,000 viewers at times versus Destiny 1's 14,000 to 17,000 about a year ago. Years after that game's release.
Years.
Yeah,
several years.
When you take all of that together, Destiny 2's not looking so hot.
It also would make sense then for those streamers to move to something that they can get more viewers on if people just aren't as interested in watching Destiny 2 stuff anymore.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're a full-time streamer, you gotta go where you gotta to make that dollar. Bungie might have been able to weather the storm if there were still enough players in the game throwing cash at the Eververse, but it's rare when this kind of thing reaches all the way to the outside world and causes investors to shy away from the publisher.
Yeah, we already saw that happen once before in recent weeks with Battlefront 2 significantly lowering the valuation of Electronic Arts. However, that's actually bounced back to almost all-time high levels.
We did it, everyone!
Yeah, so it's just possible this is just a little momentary bump in the road and won't affect Activision, Bungie, or Destiny 2 in a meaningful way.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Activision's stock price has dropped a little bit since this came out. It hasn't dropped the way EA's did, where they lost $3 billion in valuation. It's dropped like $1.40 a share, just over the course of the morning.
Yeah.
That being said, while Destiny 2 is earning a reputation that's not doing the game any favors at the moment, anything's possible with enough care and earnest listening and doing something about it. After all, we've been talking about The Division. It's been undergoing quite a few changes itself in recent months, and that's led to a new surge in players who are diving back in to see what all the fuss is about.
I did it.
Yep, and Rainbow Six Siege has had a huge resurgence after receiving robust support and updates from Ubisoft as well, so it can be done.
Yeah, it can happen. But what do you guys think about the news reports about Wall Street talking Destiny 2? Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates on all the games that people are playing and maybe grumbling about
Grumble.
what Wall Street's doing about them,
Grumble.
remember to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to The Know.
Grumble.
Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley.
I'm Mica.
We've seen Destiny Blue Platters. In the last week, two of its biggest influencers, Datto and Gothalion. In the last week, two of its biggest influencers, Datto and Gothalion, both said they'll no longer be focusing. Is it Gothalion or Gothalion?